The Love Talk Show on Liberty Radio.
Now, we're going to talk about dialogue, okay? We're going to talk about this. What makes a couple drift apart over time? This is going to be the topic of tonight's special program. What makes couples drift apart? So, couples, you're going to learn, and singles, you can learn for the future already.
Yeah, maybe this has been happening to you. You started really well. You were very close, but some things happen along the line and you feel like you're distant from your partner. So we're going to learn, how to overcome that.
After much speculation about the possible separation of supermodel Brady-Bundchen and American football player Tom Brady, a confirmation has finally been announced. On 28 October, a post from the model on her social media confirmed what was already expected: the end of the marriage that had lasted for 13 years. With much gratitude for our time together, Tom and I have amicably finalized our divorce. She continued, "The decision to end a marriage is never easy, but we have grown apart. And while it is, of course, difficult to go through something like this, I feel blessed for the time we had together and only wish the best for Tom always." Rumors say that the reason which led to the breakup went beyond Brady's withdrawal from football retirement. A source told People magazine that Giselle was frustrated and sick of his career coming before their family, who have always supported him. A second source explained that Giselle's issue with Brady's decision to unretire is the lack of time he will spend with their children. The source said that there has been trouble in the marriage over Brady's decision to unretire. Also, it was said that Giselle has always been the one with the kids. They had agreed he would retire to focus on the family, but then he changed his mind, according to the insider. Before the divorce, they both tried couple therapy, although Brady did not fulfill his part of the deal. After the divorce, they have agreed to having joint custody of their children and with dividing their assets. According to a source, they had an ironclad prenuptial agreement set down before they married in 2009, which would make their divorce process go quicker and smoother. With both having had their own separate business, the separation of their wealth would not be that complicated in the end. The estimation is that Brady is worth $250 million, with $30 million earned each year, while Giselle is worth $400 million, with $40 million earned each year, according to Celebrity Net Worth. Together, the former couple owned a number of properties across the country. It can be easy for couples to grow apart over time, particularly when each person has responsibilities and commitments which end up pulling them in other directions. It is possible, however, to change the course of your relationship and become close to your partner again. This is what you will find out on tonight's program. Stay tuned.
Wow. So, Tom Brady, Gisele Bündchen, they are really getting a divorce.
Yeah, so the rumors are true. And, they drifted apart, like we're going to speak about today.
Little by little, over time, right?
Yeah.
Things were happening, signs were given, they were ignoring the signs,
Yeah, they were
ignoring each other,
Exactly.
growing apart. And of course, when this happened, there is a time that it breaks up.
Yeah, they were
Right?
spending less and less time together. He was more focused on his career than on his marriage, than his children. And of course, even the prenuptial agreement, that's already a recipe for disaster.
We didn't know that this existed in their case, but you see, they sign a prenup agreement. What is that? Before you're getting married, you already agree on the divorce, in case the divorce happens. So this is something bad, right? You're already planning for failure. You see, it's a beautiful couple, beautiful kids. They have kids, beautiful family, a successful man, a beautiful woman, a beautiful couple. It's like they have everything to make a relationship work. But you see that this is not enough.
Yeah, they were not agreeing on the same things. They are not having the same vision for the future.
You see, man, you find yourself a beautiful woman. A beautiful woman. That's not a guarantee. You're going to be happy. Your marriage is going to work. You, woman, you find yourself a successful man. You're going to find someone more successful than Tom Brady. It's very hard. In what he does, he's the best. He is the best. They even call him the greatest of all time. The GOAT, the greatest of all time. And it didn't work. So tonight we're going to learn what they did wrong, okay? What makes a couple drift apart over time? Let's put the first one. When you do not care to understand what's happening with your partner, you create distance. So this is the first problem, okay? You're not paying attention to the needs of your partner. So in the case of Tom Brady and Giselle, what was happening? She sacrificed a lot to have the kids, Mila. Mm-hmm. She had a successful career, okay? Very famous model. She sacrificed to form a family.
Yeah.
And they had an agreement that Tom Brady was going to retire. Okay? He won a championship, I think last year. And he had already agreed that he was going to retire. This was set in stone. And he actually retired. But then I think they offer him a lot of money. Something happened. They convince him of coming back. So that's when Giselle got really upset.
Yeah.
Because she has her needs. She's been with the kids all this time. She sacrificed her career for the family. Right? Her body. She sacrificed many things. They had an agreement. He was going to retire. Mm-hmm. I mean, combined, they have like $800 million, right? I think it's pretty much, enough to live, right?
Yeah, to travel, right? To be with their kids.
But then, out of a sudden, he listens more to the people outside. They are, how you call their managers.
Yeah.
He listened to the offers of the football team more than his own wife. So he put his career in front above his wife and family.
And imagine how she feels. She felt like less.
Yeah,
like
of course.
Nothing in his life.
Maybe she also didn't pay attention to his needs.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe he didn't feel, he wasn't ready to retire. He still feels like he's got it,
Yeah.
He can do a little bit more.
Maybe he never agreed to that in the first place. Maybe it was an imposition she put on him.
Yeah.
But,
Or maybe, maybe he's going to play for 2 more years and then he's going to retire. Maybe she could have waited and respected his needs as well. So
yeah,
it was a lack of communication there, for sure.
And no one wants to sacrifice. He doesn't want to sacrifice his career. She doesn't want to sacrifice her pride,
needs, yeah.
right? She doesn't want to wait a little bit more, or is a problem. So one reason for couples to drift apart is not knowing how to converse with each other, okay? So the lack of dialogue, the lack of understanding, the lack of sacrificing for each other. When you start separating, distancing yourself from the other, right, Mila?
Yeah.
Distance yourself from the other. There's this, like a gum, you stretching, distancing, but there's come a point that, boom, it
Breaks.
it breaks. So this is what happens, right? So couples who do not talk end up losing their emotional bond over time. And it's over time. It's not from night to day. This situation with Tom and Giselle is going on for a long time. It's going on for a long time, for sure. To have come to this point, it's been going on, for a long time.
Yeah,
okay?
if couples don't talk, they just see each other in the morning, they just see each other at night, like a routine, they don't eat together anymore.
Yeah.
They're gonna drift apart. If they don't like we had the love walk, right? there was a perfect opportunity to have those conversations.
We need a
because
love walk at least once a year.
once a year, because in day to day, the busyness of day to day, it's a lot of couples, they don't talk. They just see each other. Hi, bye. Here's your food. That's it.
Yeah. When you need to talk about your needs, you need to talk about things you're not happy. You need to understand each other.
Actually,
So
yeah.
holding back instead of talking creates distance between the couple. Okay? Holding back instead of talking. So when you hide, when you're secretive, when you don't say,
What's bothering you?
when you don't talk over things, it creates a distance. And with all the distance, it creates a void, and something's gonna fill that void. Okay? Something's gonna come in between you two. It may be a hobby, it may be sport, it may be career, it may be money, it may be a lover, it may be the kids. When you look at this, when you close, nothing can come in between. Look how nice. We are close. Nothing can come in between. But when you start distancing from each other, now there is space for something here. There is a space that someone can occupy.
Or something.
Or something.
Career, whatever it is.
Yeah. So you have to be careful. All right? We're going to go now to the streets.
Today, we'll be speaking to the public to find out how they can deal with their partner's changes so that it doesn't allow their relationships to grow cold. Have you ever had a relationship with a person who changed over time? So they were one way at first and turned out to be another.
Friendly one day and the next just like not even like looking over. Every single one of them, that's why they never last. Well, I started dating my best friend and then it only lasted 3 months because he just turned into this toxic person who I don't even speak to at all anymore. Couldn't even save the friendship.
Just from the start, it was very much like a lot of attention and a lot of like messaging, and then like as time got on, because it was taking so long, it was less of that effort being put in, not enough investment.
I think people change over time, automatically we have to evolve. So yeah, I've been with people who've changed over time, but I think there's like core principles that have changed with people, and there's also things that where people have evolved and changed. So I've had both of them scenarios.
So you feel like there's change, but it can be good change or it can be bad change?
Yeah, both. I think there's change where people change the ideology. So if you set maybe a certain goal, or you have certain types of conversations at the beginning of the relationship, and then people kind of flake on that, that's a change where I think that's a bad change. But then I think there's changes where you might have been a certain person 1 or 2 years, and then 3-4 years later, you want to steer the direction in a different way, but it's for a positive reason. I think that's all right.
How did you deal with this change? Did you at one point try to adapt?
Yeah, I tried to adapt, like give them the benefit of the doubt, but then it was too much, it was too long, and I was like, no. So I had a very important phone call and just like call things off on the phone call.
I never really change for anyone else. I just like take a moment out for a bit to just analyze the situation. And then most of the time I like just understand that everyone behaves differently, so if I like them enough, I'll try and work it out.
I've left all relationships that I feel where if we've talked about maybe a certain type of goal individually, and I felt like I've been attaining it and the other person haven't, I've left. But I think on the flip side, there's been one time where the other person left me because she didn't feel like I was holding my end of the bargain.
Do you believe that communication solves problems in relationships?
It depends how good they are at communicating and how honest they are. Because I think a lot of people have their guard up and don't want to say how they really feel because they don't want to be vulnerable or get their heart broken.
Only when relevant. I don't want to make him feel uncomfortable.
100%. That's what I think, like there was a lack of communication from his side. You know, I feel like if you can speak things out, maybe there is a reason behind something if you just let that person know. If you don't, it looks ignorant and it looks rude, and that might not be your like intention.
It definitely solves problems, but I think the most important thing is kind of knowing what people that go into a relationship without understanding themselves or knowing what they want. You can't go into a relationship just because, okay, it feels good in the time. You got to have a certain parameter and have a certain understanding of what you want from a person. If you don't have that, then it's going to be problems.
So you've heard what the public has to say. What do you think you would do if you saw changes in your partner? Would you let it affect your relationship? And do you think communicating well would help save the relationship? Find out tonight and have your say on the Love Talk show tonight at 11 p.m.
And this is what causes couples to drift away, okay? So what is the solution to that? The solution is dialogue, okay? And dialogue is not talking. Many people think of dialogue as talking. I want to talk. I want to express myself. No, it's more of hearing, okay? There's no dialogue if you're not ready to hear, to listen to the other person. So dialogue begins with listening, not talking. Someone very smart once said, if God gave you one mouth and two ears, if God gave you, he provided you with one mouth and two ears, that means that
It's for a reason.
you should hear more, listen more, and speak less. Okay? So another thing, Mila, that drifts couple away is the lack of conversation. Okay?
Yes,
First one, lack of dialogue. But lack of intimacy, the absence of intimacy is another reason for a couple to drift apart.
I think
Let that sink. Let that sink in. Okay?
it's one is the consequence of the other, right?
Yeah.
You have lack of intimacy, and the next thing you know, you are indifferent to each other. You're
Yeah.
cold with each other throughout your day.
Or you don't talk and it's going to reflect in the intimacy.
Yeah, one thing reflects on the other.
Yeah. Usually, couples, they have problems. It's this. There's no dialogue. They don't talk to each other. Or there's no intimacy. There are couples that go like months without intimacy, even years. And this is very bad for the relationship. So couples, conversation is key. Intimacy is key. All right? So dialogue begins when you are willing to listen and understand. Not only to listen, but understand what is going on with your partner. Okay?
So it's not judging, it's understanding. But you're only going to understand if you listen.
Yeah,
Where they're coming from.
And it's okay to have different opinions. That's fine. Okay? Just listen. Just let your wife speak her mind. Just let her express herself. Okay? You might disagree, but that does not mean you don't need to listen. You need to listen to
Yeah.
her point of view and respect her point of view and agree to disagree. Agree that sometimes you're going to have an opinion, she's going to have your opinion, you're going to have to meet in the middle. You're going to have to compromise.
Yeah, because you're different, you know?
Yeah.
If I had a copy of myself, if you were the male version of myself, I wouldn't like you very much. And I don't think you would like me very much, right? If I was the female version of yourself.
No, I wouldn't like a Mrs. Lucas. No.
Mrs. Lucas. So, you know, these differences that we have, we're not always going to agree on everything. But these differences is what complements each other.
Exactly.
Is what makes things interesting.
Yeah.
So I have to understand that he doesn't think like me and I don't think like him. And it's okay. And we're going to resolve those things through a good dialogue.
And this is
and
what love
understanding.
is all about, right?
Yeah.
The Love Talk Show on Liberty Radio.